Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on February the 8th in the year of our Lord 2026. Got a lot of good information for you tonight. Let's jump over here to my Rumble channel, Murtech on Rumble. This is the live stream we're going over tonight, my episode 1832. So let's jump into that. Pause this and close out the live chat. Let me slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Andrew Klavan, USA Watchdog, SGT Report, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give from Densu1991, just started following my channel. Cherilot23 just started following my channel. Carl Rumble 2022 just started following my channel. Fem 1955 just started following my channel. And Donna Bell just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Myguys and Fisher C45 and Uncloudy commented on my episode 1831. Fisher C45 commented on my extra 514A, and Debbie BS commented on that video as well. And Debbie BS commented on my extra 514B and 514C. So thank you very much, folks, for giving me the comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. And I got one of those thumbs up icons right down here below the video. If you could click on that, I would appreciate that also. Okay, speaking of comments, let's see what Myguys has to say. He said, hope this helps. Great collection of reports and should be promoted. There you go. Got a thumbs up on that one. This is from my video last night. Great collection of information. Okay, let's jump back here. And let's see what Andrew Klavan has to say. I'm going to let him give us his monologue, which is always full of great information and intellectual content. So let's go ahead and listen to that, and then I'll kick it up to about the 6 minute and 26 second mark. Here we go.
Alligator and families. Well, last week we talked about the Oscars, and this week it's the Grammys. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, please, God, kill me now before I have to hear about the Grammys. Otherwise, I'll be forced to drown this out by sticking my fingers in my ears and whistling Dixie, which may give people the impression that I support the Confederacy, when in fact, I think holding your fellow human beings in bondage, branding and flogging them before selling their families is a horrible thing. And if I were forced to choose between life as a slave and watching the Grammys, I would pretend to think about it, then suddenly break my chains and escape through the alligator-infested swamps of Mississippi, never to return to slavery until the... Okay, maybe that's not exactly what you're thinking. I mean, only a degenerate would think something like that. Even just saying it out loud is morally disgusting, though obviously not as bad as the Grammys. But this year, the Grammy Award show was not just the usual self-celebration of a collection of semi-talented drug addicts who set disgustingly explicit words to simplistic and atonal music. This year, we got to hear what these addicts think about politics. How great is that? For instance, Billie Eilish, who won Best Performance by a dumpy person with a weirdly skewed face who sings as if even she doesn't want to hear her crappy music, denounced ICE agents' arrest of illegal migrants by saying, quote, no one is illegal on stolen land, unquote. In response, the Native American Fagawi tribe requested Eilish return her $3 million Los Angeles mansion since it stands on land that belongs to them. The tribe promised to repay Eilish by burning her heart as a sacrifice to the Great Spirit after they had devoured her body in a traditional indigenous ceremony. Eilish politely refused as she ran screaming from the award show, explaining that if everyone in California gave their land back, the Native Americans would return the state to poverty, primitivism, and savagery, and that's Gavin Newsom's job. Bad Bunny won this year's Grammy for Best Album by a Puerto Rican drag queen. Mr. Bunny immediately demanded that federal immigration officers stop enforcing federal immigration law or else. ICE officers responded by crying out in agitated, high pitched voices, "Oh no, Bad Bunny is angry at us. Whatever shall we do?" Then went back to work. Now, the Super Bowl is this Sunday, and Mr. Bunny is scheduled to do the halftime show at that all American display of manhood by wearing a dress and denigrating America. So NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was asked to comment on Bunny's speech. Goodell said, quote, "We at the NFL gave the halftime show to Mr. Bunny to make a strong statement, namely that we have so much money, we really don't give a rat's ass what our audience thinks. And we will continue to mock the deeply held beliefs of ordinary Americans while dining on lobster, caviar, and champagne served on the naked backs of former athletes whose brain injuries have rendered them useless for anything but acting as furniture for the people who got rich off destroying them. Enjoy the show," unquote. Singer Kalani won this year's Grammy for most desperate attempt to extend an evanescent 15 minutes of fame by writhing around virtually naked so no one would notice she has no talent. Kalani also denounced ICE, saying, quote, "It is important for artists to speak out because our opinions matter to the sort of brain-dead 12-year-olds who listen to this crap. I, for one, want to inspire the young minority men in our audience to stand up to law enforcement agents with violent and aggressive tactics, which is going to work out great for you. And when you're in prison, we'll have your back. Or actually, some muscle-bound thug in Gen Pop will probably have your back, but at least you can think about how much money we're making for inspiring you to take action," unquote. Now, personally, I thought these speeches were boring, conformist, ignorant, destructive, and foul-mouthed displays of misbehavior. Or maybe that was the songs. No, it was the speeches. Maybe the songs. Whatever. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
Well, there again, he's
I
cleared it up
and
completely for us. So let's get up here. 6 minute and 36-second mark. Here we go.
As you know, I've lived several lifetimes. I mean, I began in the Jurassic period, and a lot of stuff. I've come a long way from where I started. But through it all, my family is by far the most important part of my life, which is why I want to make sure they're taken care of if something happens to my sex
commercial here, so let's get past that.
Transition. A major thing is transition. So this is not about a sex change.
There we go. Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. America in transition. So this is not about a sex change. I think a lot of people have finally caught up with what I've been telling you for years, that this is a period of a great transition. A major thing is happening. I key it, most of it into the end of the boomer era, but all the things that are happening at the same time then play into that transition right there. And I think this is the beginning of something new, but we don't know what it's going to be. It hasn't been defined yet. It hasn't happened. Nobody knows the future. That's why they call it the future. But even though I think they've caught up with me on noticing this has happened, because it's all I've been talking about for a long time, I think that most of the comments I read are getting the nature of the transition not just wrong, but like the opposite of right. They're getting it exactly wrong. So look, you can either listen to them for the next few years until they catch up with me, or you can get tomorrow's news today by coming here. So let me give you some examples of what I think they're getting wrong. A lot of people are saying we're in a crisis of trust, which I love this phrase. I hear it again and again. I Googled it, and Google's AI, which is a left-wing misinformation machine, it proves that AI, yes, can do misinformation just as well as a network newsman. But it's just one lie after another. And so I Googled crisis of trust. It said a widespread crisis of trust is eroding confidence. Listen to the language carefully. Is eroding confidence in institutions, governments, media, and corporations driven by polarization, misinformation, and perceived failures of leadership. Now, usually when you look this up, you also get a hit at Trump. It's all about Trump. It's because Trump, it's all, people don't trust Trump. But it's ridiculous. It's not a crisis of trust that's eroding confidence in institutions. That's like saying we're having a crisis of Islamophobia eroding our trust in Islam. There's no such thing as Islamophobia. Nobody's phobic about Islamic people. Nobody woke up one morning and said, I don't know the reason for this, but I don't like spiders and I don't like Islamic people. That's not what happened. People observe that there is a worldwide epidemic of Islamic violence. Obviously, it's not all Islamic people, but it's a core thing, and it's happening all around the world against all kinds of people, against Jews, against other Muslims, against Christians, against animists, against atheists. It's secular people. It's happening all over the world. It can't all be the other people's fault, and so people are worried about it, and that's why they feel the thing they feel. It's not phobic at all. And likewise, there's no crisis of trust. There's a crisis of trustworthiness. Our leadership, the failure of the leadership during the pandemic, I've said this before, but it is the greatest failure of a leadership class since World War I, since Europe's leaders led them into a useless war that absolutely wiped out a generation of men, that destroyed the great culture of Europe so that it is now gone. I mean, obviously it took 30 years because World War II actually finished it off, but it started with World War I, and those two wars were really just one big war. And in the absolute mishandling of the COVID epidemic, the lies, the silencing, the riots induced by the attitudes and encouragement of our mainstream elites, all of these things just showed us that we can't trust these people. It just brought what so many of us suspected into the light and showed us that it was true. And since they still have not taken responsibility for it, they'll still say, well, that was because of COVID. No, it was because you screwed up during COVID. They'll say, oh yeah, COVID really eroded people's trust. No, your lies, your incompetence, your mishandling, your oppression in blue states where you shut down churches and left strip joints open, let riots continue, all of those things made us realize that you guys are played out. And they're played out because everything is the boomer era. Everything is post-World War II. And you keep reading the newspaper, oh no, Trump is destroying the post-war, the post-war system of being. And you think well, wait a minute, the war was 80 years ago. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts more than a lifetime as far as ideas are concerned. It's time to move on. And we tried a non-boomer president, Barack Obama, and he was a disaster. So we went back to a boomer president, Joe Biden. And guess what? The boomers are aging out. It's obviously not me, but all the rest of us are aging out, and it's time for them to go. And there's a sense that they're the last competent generation at all. They're the last people who can do anything. And there's a fear that we can't replace them. And Barack Obama actually, consolidated that fear. So I hope, I very much hope that our elites can be replaced non-violently, peacefully. And I believe that thanks to Trump and the First Amendment and certain things about this country that are still very vital and vibrant, I think they can be replaced in the U.S. non-violently. Other countries, I'm not sure. I look at England and I think, yeah, you can lock up people for mean tweets while Pakistanis, rape dozens of your women, hundreds of your women, and don't even go to jail. But one day you're going to look out your window and, there's going to be a bunch of angry men there. And it's not going to be a revolt. It's going to be a revolution. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but I think it may happen in Europe. There may be some real upheavals there. And the other thing that people are saying, another thing that people are saying about this transition, they're saying AI is about to transform the world. I was reading an article by Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. He says AI could destroy half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in a few short years and has a 25% chance of essentially wiping out human existence. Now, I don't buy this at all. I think that AI is going to be a change. It's going to be some developments. But I think they're overplaying it and they're getting, dramatic about it. Barton Swaim, who is my current favorite writer at the Wall Street Journal, says AI may be the new climate change. He says the world-weary consumer of news might reasonably wonder if we're headed into another version of climate alarmism. Consider a confederation of specialists, climate scientists in one version, Silicon Valley geniuses in another, joins with liberal politicians and nonprofit heads to warn of an impending catastrophe. The only moral response to this new situation, these Olympians tell us, is to transfer authority over large parts of the economy to people like themselves. That they would favor such a transfer under any circumstances with or without a coming disaster doesn't bother the mainstream press, which reports their predictions with credulity and fervor. Meanwhile, ordinary people lacking the specialized knowledge to draw their own conclusions feel cowed into going along with it all. fall. And I agree. I think that's what's happening with AI. I think it's a chance for people to panic and give government more power. I think that's exactly what happened in New York when they elected Mamdani. I think they're all afraid of losing their jobs. So socialism, they panicked and voted for socialism, which is giving the power to control the economy over to the state, which is the last thing you want. Then on the right, you have guys like Tucker, if he is still on the right, like guys like Tucker Carlson, who says we should make self-driving trucks illegal to preserve the jobs, because so many men have truck driving jobs. But that is typical government thinking, right? The government says, oh, we must pass laws to protect buggy whip makers because these new automobiles are going to put the buggy whip makers out of work. And then everybody will be out of work without thinking, oh, there may be new jobs like car mechanic that didn't exist before. We can't stop AI developments because competition with other countries is going to make it necessary that we compete. Otherwise, we'll be wiped off the face of the earth technologically. So you let the technology develop. You make sure that you react to it. The changes that come along in keeping with our founding values, humanely and with freedom in mind. And then we could potentially have another century of American dominance, which I think is incredibly, very much possible. The biggest error, though, that commentators make in talking about this great transition is to say we're in a post-truth society. Post-truth was actually nominated the word of the year by Oxford Dictionaries in 2016 to describe, quote, circumstances in which objective facts are less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal belief. And this is another one where they just blame Trump for everything. Oh, Trump lies all the time, so we're post-truth. We're post-truth because people believe Trump. The fact is Trump is often right. In fact, a lot of times he's right, and that's what they're really complaining about, is that people are not looking to them for the truth.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. Let me show you that this video does come from Andrew Klavan. Okay, it's a video I shared with you. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump over here. Turning Point USA.
Good old days, the way we were raising our soul, the ways you black cornbread and biscuits. This bro right here, we fix it. See, I can take y'all where you need to go. Down to my hood and back in them woods. Do it different around here, that's right, but show. Do it good and do it all night. If you really want to know how it feels to get off the road, trucks and 4 wheels, man, jump on in. Tell your friends we'll be raising hell out with a blacktop is. Chilling on the dirt road. Lay back, swimming like I'm Joe Jones. Small rolling out the window, and that's cool, it's easy to control. Little lane up in the midnight, scout here really missing all the good times. See them turn off your real life driving, that's right. It needs you straight on road tires. Adam Curry, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, folks, I just gave you a little taste there of Turning Point USA, their halftime show. I will be rating that after this video. So there you have it. Let me jump back here and let me continue on with my show. So don't leave me yet. All right, here we go. Let's jump down here and see what USA Watchdog has to say. World ignoring disaster of CV-19 bioweapon vax with Dr. Joe Sanone. Okay, here we go.
I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. You know I did a lot of work on this CV-19, the hoax, the holding off medications, not giving people ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine before the shots even came out, the experimental shots, and how awful the CV-19 shots are, how people need to be treated. Are they still on the market? This is absolutely outrageous and unbelievable that these shots are still on the market. And just give you a couple of data points in case Barry Weiss at CBS News is watching. I'll give you an idea. I'll play assignment editor. There were 270 million Americans that took these shots. 58% of that was about 2 or 3 shots. It's causing all kinds of health problems, including death, myocarditis, pericarditis, infertility problems, blood clotting, all kinds of autoimmune disease. 6 million people are injured, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and Ed Dowd crunched that number for us. It's unbelievable, and 5.5 billion people took these shots worldwide. But you know what? The whole medical community, the whole federal government, state and local people are acting like what? What? Like, this isn't, all they can do is ignore it. They can't say it works, because it doesn't. The CDC, in one of their meetings just late last year, said, oh, we can't call it safe and effective. That's propaganda. Karen Kingston sat in on that meeting. They can't say, oh, it makes COVID less. That's another lie. So we're stuck with this unbelievable story where everybody involved, from medical to state and local law enforcement, everybody is acting like, not a problem. We'll just ignore it and it'll just go away. Well, a guy who's not letting it go away is Dr. Joe Sanone. He is a psychotherapist, a PhD in Florida, doing this on his own, not a lawyer. And he's trying to get the shots removed in Florida. Ron DeSantis is putting up a brick wall on that one. He's also getting legislation introduced. He's got some news on that, and calls it a bioweapon because he had an affidavit from the guy who wrote the 1989 Bioweapons Act, Francis Boyle, who's died late last year, who said it was a bioweapon. He wrote the 1989 Bioweapons Act. So this is a bioweapon, the CV-19 shots. And so I'm going to come on with Joe Sanone. So I'm sorry, Joe, just had to give you a break. Tell me why this is still a story. Tell me why this is still a story.
Well, it's still a story because people continue to get sick and die. We have a recent study from Holscher et al. Showing a really comprehensive case study, which after 3.5 years, the spike protein was still prevalent, the mRNA, the SV, or the plasmid DNA in the organs and in the skin and the exosomes, which supports the shedding as well as a continued process. Now, we don't know how many people this is happening to, but we know it's happening where it's continuing to produce this stuff. We've got the paper COVID-19 Harms and Damages, a non-exhaustive conclusion. That's a paper by Zivjets et al. And that paper talks about how the vaccine violated the Biological Weapons Convention, but it also has some of the preliminary data from Dr. Vila's research here at her clinic in Florida. And 75% of the people have autoimmune markers, like problems with the immune systems, but about 55% of them have immunodeficiency. So we're seeing VADES develop in a lot of people. So even people who are asymptomatic. So as time, it's a little bit of a ticking time bomb as time goes on, what kind of complications they're going to get. We'll continue to see heart problems, neurological problems, just, a wide array of problems. If you look at the data out of Japan, where they had 610,000 excess deaths, that would, if you translate for population, that would be about a 41% underreporting factor, or 41 underreporting factor on VAERS, which would mean we've had about 1,558,000 people die from the injections. But that's not the people getting sick now and dying. That's the people like shortly after getting the shots, when most of them were being given out. So these shots are continuing to be given out. They're a threat to the people who get the shots directly, and they're also a danger to the people who did not who aren't getting the shots because of the involuntary environmental exposure via shedding. And I want people to keep in mind that the people that got the shots, if they have damaged immune systems, they're actually the most susceptible to other people continuing to get the shots because of the shedding. And I just want to say that the largest voting bloc in America right now are the people that have been poisoned by these injections. And at some point, someone needs to wake these people up and energize these people, because this isn't just a battle for the heart and soul of America. This is a battle for our species. We've been targeted with a biological and technological weapon of mass destruction, and we're going to have to, at some point, turn this around. We need to stop what they're doing and then work on trying to mitigate the damage, because most people we know will likely have a shortened lifespan because of the complications that they're going to get from these injections over time. And that's a serious problem, and it's immoral to look the other way. It's cowardly to look the other way. And so I'm not going to look the other way, and I'm going to continue to fight to remove these weapons of mass destruction off the market. And I'm doing it by, trying to get my bill introduced in multiple states, as well as my litigation here in Florida.
You just had a bill introduced in Arizona. Is that correct? Arizona, where you call it a bioweapon.
Yeah, so it's the Sanone NRA Bioweapons Prohibition Act that was introduced in Arizona. It's also been introduced in Minnesota, and then also just recently in Tennessee. The bill's unique because it recognizes that these shots are already illegal. They're weapons of mass destruction and biological weapons, and the bill creates a civil and criminal penalty for non-enforcement. I used in the case of Arizona, I used their non-feasance law. And it has in the case of Arizona, it has life imprisonment should somebody die from the injection. So I got to give a shout out to Representative Rachel Jones Keschel in Arizona, Senator Janice Bowling in Tennessee, and then, of course, Representative Shane Mecklin up in Minnesota. So we have 3 American patriots that are willing to introduce this legislation, trying to get other states to introduce this legislation. We got a few other states in play. We'll see what happens. But I do have a template on my website of all 50 state versions of this bill. And I'm asking people to try to get their state legislators to introduce it, because the more states where we see this introduced, the more people are openly telling the truth that these are bioweapons, the more likely we will for the federal government to either back down or look, if it gets passed anywhere, that's going to make the whole thing blow up. But, a governor could just end up seeing the writing on the wall and do their job, or an attorney general in the state as well. I want people to understand that President Trump and RFK Jr., each of them individually have the power to pull these shots, but every governor and attorney general in all 50 states have the power to do it. Federal products, when they're harmful, have been pulled off the market before. Here in Florida, back in 1997, we did it with fen-phen, and that led to the national recall. So these are harmful products, but they're actually also weapons. So every governor and every attorney general has a duty to take these off the market immediately.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. Great information. I'm like 7 minutes into this 42-minute video. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog. I'm following the channel. I've given him a thumbs up in this video, and also the video from Andrew Klavan will be in my daily news wrap-up, so you'll get to see more of that if you come back and watch that. All right, let's jump back here, and I've been doing some chatting here. If you're out there, give me a chat. Let me know what's going on. Okay, let's move on here with SGT report. Got some more great information with Dr. Dave Janda of Operation Freedom. I share his information a lot on Murtech.com. Anyway, total media blackout, pedovores and whores exposed with Dr. Dave Janda. Let's check this out and see what he has to say.
The reason I wanted to talk about this with you today is because everything we're watching seems to be a show. Yes. It seems like so many people that we see on television in positions of power are actors playing a role. First and foremost among them, Erica Kirk, an absolute charlatan if there's ever been one. And the point I wanted to make as we move on in the conversation, because we've got Epstein drops we can talk about. We've got Candace Owens and her open letter to Erica Kirk. But before we go there, I just want to play this clip for the audience. All day yesterday and the day before on Fox News, it's been full coverage of Samantha Guthrie's kidnapped mom. They ignore the Epstein drops. They ignore the Silver situation. They ignore Candace's investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. Listen to this, guys. You want to talk about acting and scripts? I don't know. Does this sound like the words you would ever say if your mother was missing?
She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
Catherine is very gentle and kind. Talk to her and you'll see.
I played that last night for my wife, and I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? If anything ever happened to you or one of our kids and they were kidnapped, you think I would go on TV and say, my wife is so kind and gentle? Talk to her and you'll see, Mr. Kidnapper. What? So we got Samantha Guthrie on the left, and we have the actress in Silence of the Lambs on the right. I don't know, man. Is everything a show, Dave? It sure seems like it. And this whole Samantha Guthrie's mom thing is one gigantic distraction, so the media doesn't have to deal with the Epstein drops.
I would like to disagree with you, Sean, but I can't. It's actually a horror show, because the purpose of the show is to, and the people putting on the show, the purpose is to strip the 99% of us that are not considered part of the, I don't use the word elite. I despise that. A part of the globalist syndicate, let's say. But the 99% of us that are not part of that, their goal with the show is to strip us of our freedoms, our liberties, our health. And if you don't believe me about the health, just think of what happened in 2019 and actually still continuing to this day with this, and of our health, of our financial well-being, of our future, and of our lives, and of our constitutional republic. Their goal is the destruction of all of it. You know, folks are trying to, they're saying, oh, you know, Zuckerberg, who's, you know, an intelligence dweeb, always has been. The whole same thing with CIA book, or some people still call Facebook, or NSA book, or whatever you want to call it. You know, they talk about, well, he's creating this metaverse. Sean, the metaverse has already been created. We've been living in it for decades. It was created in a more basic type of presentation. But I agree with you, Sean. I completely agree with you. And here's the problem. If we don't, as a public, see through this metaverse that they've created, this horror show that they've created, it really will mean the destruction of every person's freedoms and liberties and health and financial well-being and future and lives, and the end of our constitutional republic, which is exactly why, Sean, why you, why me, why several other folks like Sarah Westall, who are not connected to a foreign government, are not connected or co-opted by an intelligence agency, of why we are targeted and why we are censored and why we are shadow banned and why we are suppressed. And the reason, Sean, is because we give clarity, a see-through, through that faux horror show that has been constructed. And they have to try to silence the true people that are focused on the 99% and not co-opted.
1,000% correct, Dave. And that's why Dan Bongino, who is so ineffective in his role as deputy FBI director, has now left and gone back to podcasting. He's got the audacity to call himself the Podfather, and he's reading everybody the riot act who doesn't buy the official stories that the government is peddling. For instance, Jeffrey Epstein, he didn't have any clients. His clients didn't abuse kids. Okay, so that's the official story regarding Epstein. And Tyler Robinson is the lone gunman. Now, a lot of folks in my audience have heard this absolute train wreck, Erica Kirk, say what she said regarding her desire to have a fully transparent investigation. No, what she really wants is the government to hurry up and try and convict Tyler Robinson, and then the official story will be in place and she can go on with her life. So instead of me playing the clip here, I would like to play at least some of this open letter from Candace Owens to Erica Kirk, in which Candace plays a bit of that interview I just showed. Listen to this.
Dear Erica, I thought it best to do this publicly. I think public conversations keep everybody honest. And there are some things that certainly need to be clarified, because sometimes the gap between the truth and the lie is what happens behind closed doors.
I'm going to pause it here. Let me play this at 1.25 speed. And Dave, I would like to invite you to jump in at any point. I'm happy to pause this. It's a little bit long, but I think in the interest of getting this information out to the public that doesn't take the time to watch Candace, this is historically extremely important, because leadership at TPUSA and Erica Kirk specifically appear to be deeply involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And some of the alibis these people have provided or refused to provide, well, it just makes them look very, very, very suspicious.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. Now, I wanted to play this for you because I am not into this kind of information. You know, SGT report and Dr. Dave Janda, they've in the past always provided really good information. But I wanted to share this with you because this disappointed me when I heard this about how they're talking about this. If you follow me anytime at all, you know I haven't talked a lot about this Candace Owens and Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk thing. This is just too way out there for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this here and move on. Uh, I don't know that I will have this included in my daily news wrap up. The link to this video is in the description box. If you'd like to hear more of this, by all means, go ahead and do so. But I'm not really into this type of information, okay? Let me share this with you. This does come from SGT Report. I am following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. I would rather move on to Wendy Bell Radio, Weekends with Wendy. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I think that's much better information to listen to. Here we go.
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Good morning. If you pay attention, look at my eyes. Fire coming out of my eyes. That's how I feel this morning, Brock.
She's lit.
About those Team USA brats. What a bad look. What a bad time, bad play. I mean, imagine working your whole life, legit, working your whole life to become the best to represent your country. And you're going to go and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot and you're going to piss off your country.
It's
that's how I feel about that.
It's a shame because the few that are getting the most attention are ruining for the people who are there. You got someone like me. I watch the Olympics. Not now. Not now.
So, yeah, and so there are like all these posts about these skiers, and that's one guy who's described as a homosexual British American skier. I'm like, can you imagine if the first word to describe you was about your sexuality? I'd be like, that's a problem. But he allegedly urinates ice in between his skis, right? And I'm like, okay, dude. And you know, they don't even do any kind of research into what they're actually saying, because if they did, they would know it's not going to age well.
It's all feelings.
They didn't stick the landing, is what I would say.
The worst part is yes, these people have sponsors, and you can go and not shop these sponsors. But I mean, I started looking at some of the sponsors. I don't even know who these people are. So
I don't shop there anyway.
I don't even know if you can boycott them, because
like O'Neill and whatever these, you know, manufacturers are. Well, if you don't ski or you're not in that world, it's really not it's different than Bud Light.
Yes.
Like Bud Light, that's a palpable, you know, you don't have to support that. But like, it's so ridiculous. And even this is how lazy I think that this society in general has become, that you can take up a side with literally zero critical thought, with zero of your own investigation into what ICE is doing. And it's all the smokescreen bullshit so that the Democrats can keep as many new voters as possible, because they need them not just for the census, but to vote. So clearly we know what's going on. But these athletes they're sacrificing the stage that they've worked so hard to compete on. They're sacrificing that by being stupid. Can you imagine what their parents think? I would hope that one of the parents was like, look, you're going to shut the hell up. You're not going to say a word. You're going to wrap yourself in that flag, and you're going to go compete your ass off. Shut your mouth. Click. Any questions?
I don't understand why
so
get
much.
involved. Why get involved in something that's one? If I'm an athlete, and I'm first off, you saying about he's a gay skier or whatever,
Homosexual British American downhill skier.
Like, if you're an Olympian, shouldn't it start with I'm an Olympian? I'm a skier. I'm proud to represent America. Oh yeah, I'm gay. Like that wouldn't even be in the top 5 for me. But like, of all of
they've browbeaten us with race and with gay and with all that. Like, nobody cares until you're a douche, and then we care because you're annoying and you've now besmirched our flag. And the people who are offended should be offended. I would be super offended if I was a veteran. I'd be super offended if I was wearing the uniform, or if one of my children was wearing the uniform. I would be super offended. And I don't offend easily, but it's just... Yeah, and JJ, Penny, yes, there's like stupid reporters baiting them. It's just this ridiculous theatrical performance.
And your 30-second soundbite of you being an idiot.
Yeah.
When all you have to say is, hey, I'm a skier. I'm representing my country. I get this great opportunity to ski. We get 2 weeks a year, or 2 weeks every 2 or 4 years to compete. I'm here to compete. I'm here to represent.
But before I even put my boots on, I'm gonna F it all up.
Yeah, right. Like,
and then how about
knows no boundaries.
How about resting nasty face Maxine Waters? She's like, Donald Trump is racist, and so I'm not gonna attend the State of the Union. And everyone's like, okay.
Who cares?
I don't care.
I once again.
So what did we say on Friday? Relevant. Everybody would be talking about it, and that's what the shows were yesterday. Donald Trump. And I love that Trump was like, I'm not going to apologize for it. I saw the beginning. It was a minute of election integrity shit. You guys should pay attention to that. Look at that. Bing, 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 bing. And then there was a video, and I don't agree with the video. It shouldn't have been on there. Yeah. Next question.
But
are you going to apologize for that? No, I'm not going to apologize for that. Did you guys see the video? Because the first minute is the part that you should be paying attention to.
He kept going back to that.
100%.
It was the ultimate, like, I'm going to...
But in Fulton County, no, that person's not being fired, but in Fulton County right now, they want their ballots back. Why? I voted for that.
I just said to you this morning that I saw someone that I'm Facebook friends with say, I'm not even black man. I'm not even discussing the racist thing. I expect this from this president. I'm like, if you are right, all right. But if you're like, you're seeking it out, I don't know any KKK members. I don't know. Why are you living your life worrying about what someone else thinks about you, or how something that never affects you affects you? Like, Donald Trump's tweet does not affect you. Like, but I'm just not going to comment on it. Well, newsflash, you just did.
Well, it was interesting. So you guys know the influencer Jeffrey Mead, who we feature from time to time. He's the really calm black man who sits there with the ceiling fan on top of him. He's got a lot of headroom, and he goes over videos, and he's like, so it's interesting that everybody's losing their minds over this, portraying the Obamas as apes or what have you. And by the way, later on in the video, so is Joe Biden, and he's eating a big banana. So, okay, say what you will.
Well, they called Trump an orangutan for how many times? So
he's like, but isn't it interesting that the protesters in Minneapolis who've said horrible things to the ICE agents that we've seen and we've heard, calling one guy a house nigger, I guess is what they said. You're a house nigger? And it makes me feel gross to even say it. I'm like, ugh. But this is what white Karens are screaming. And that was a guy screaming at an ICE agent, a black ICE agent. What are you, the house nigger? And the other ICE agents were like, "You shut your mouth." And then another one, there was another instance where it's like, "You're black, you shouldn't be doing," and another N word dropping, and it's sort of like, wait, what? Who even thinks that way? Who thinks that way? They do. They do. It's crazy.
There's two different ways to say it. I learned this 25 years ago from a black man. You always know it's a white person when you hear the R at the end.
Hard R.
Hard R. He's like, that's the difference. He's like, white people enunciate. So you know, it's the complete hypocrisy of it all. Like, we played the one black man who says, "I've never been called that." Sitting on his porch in the South. Yeah. I'm always welcome. I'm never called that. I am by other people. He's like, but I'm never, no white person's ever called me that.
Isn't that so unfortunate? It's just, it's so unfortunate. And it's all they have left is find some reason that there's a victim and then you're an oppressor and it's your privilege. And it's like, you know what? I'm just trying to pay my property taxes. Can you just get out of my life? Beep, 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 beep. I'm just trying to get some sanity, okay? Because I've been hearing it all morning. Beep, 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 beep. So
I'm just over it. It's the fake outrage. Everything is the end of democracy or racist or
yes, it's a big deal.
Whatever it is, it's like, can we just get past all this stuff and lower our taxes and fix our roads and just do what you're supposed to do. Stop with the
stay in your lane
on everything, right? You know, like,
let's do some rabbit holing. Ready, Brock? Want a rabbit hole with me?
Time to get your tinfoil helmet for today on.
That's right. So, like, you understand possibly, you've heard some chatter that the Super Bowl might be a bigger deal than just the game. What are you hearing?
I heard that this is the first time ever that the Super Bowl is going to be available to everyone.
What do you mean by that?
Like, everyone will have access in all the major countries. Like, that's never been the case before. And apparently the scuttle is that some people are saying that the logo of the Super Bowl are the exact colors of the EBS system.
Emergency broadcasting.
Yes. And that some are saying there's going to be an event that's going to a COVID-like, but not a COVID, like almost like a World War III event. It's going to come all the way to the end and then pull back. And then others are saying through all this that there's going to be something dropping today or tomorrow or Tuesday about elections, and elections not just in America, around the world. And I sent it to you yesterday. What's the news story out of Somalia? They're creating voter ID for Somalian elections. So there's the scuttlebug on the rabbit holes is that there's going to be a scare event.
Dobie Dib says Super Sunday is the largest child trafficking day of the year. That is not something I'm plugged into. Please tell me more.
Well,
because Vipers says, yep.
Remember they used to say that Super Bowl Sunday was the biggest thing for domestic abuse. And it came out later that wasn't true. Like, some women's group put it out. The fact that there's a special day for trafficking.
Yeah. And then just so much stuff still about Epstein He's, do you really think he's dead? Who was he working for? Stuff that dates back to 2014 with Ukraine and Zelensky allegedly being a prolific part of this human trafficking operation, sex trafficking operation, which would be weird because that's what Putin said before he invaded.
Talking about Pizzagate, now they're saying it's real because of the Epstein drops. I was also told by someone who goes down rabbit holes that this Epstein stuff is just the light version.
What do you mean?
This is the mild stuff. So all the stuff you're reading, you're like, that's gross and that's disgusting, and that this is just the...
But we're thinking this is like disgusting men essentially
this is
going
just
away to bang these young women and do all this stuff.
But it's much worse.
It's much worse.
That's
such as what? Human rituals, sacrifice, eating of human beings.
I've heard that, the cloning of children, like there's this whole underground world of tunnels and the cloning of children to be like part this and part that. And it's the Epsteins
is
are
that
just
what?
enough.
Go ahead.
The Epstein files are just enough to get it, to start to get it out there of how corrupt and how dirty. There's this underbelly seedy world that we have no concept of. It's
Is this why they were accused at the University of Pittsburgh of taking aborted fetuses and trying to get fur on them? They were doing something with skin and with rodents or something. And it was just like, literally, you get me at a point where I have to stop. Like, it's a factory reset necessary because it's too much. You're like, really? Are people that disgusting? No. Did you see the red, white, and blue fireworks? No.
Someone says been seeing more videos about 7 seconds of no gravity. I've been seeing those too.
What's that mean? I don't know what that is.
Apparently there's going to be a point, and I think in August, I saw that there's going to be 7 seconds the way everything works out of no gravity, which will kill millions of people. And they're not talking about it. They're not talking about it because of mass hysteria, but like people will fall, like people will die from this because of no gravity for 7 seconds.
I really hope I'm not flying somewhere. What? Now, come on. You lose me on stuff like that.
I'm just saying, someone brought it up, and I'm just saying, I've seen people talking about it too. I'm not saying I'm not saying
Where are you? Where do you hang out, you strange man?
I saw it on Rumble. So take that for what it's worth.
One of you sent me an hour-long thing on Q on Rumble, and I'm watching it, and it's very interesting. It's very well produced. Like, it's super slick and really interesting. And I'm like, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Then there's video of Trump from his first administration with everybody from like all the top military brass in one room, and he's like, "It's coming. This is the calm before the storm." Have you seen that clip? And I think it's Kristen Welker who's in the room, and she's like, "What do you mean by the calm before the storm?" And he's like, "You'll see. It's coming." And I'm like, "Oh." What was that? I don't know.
But see, once again, here's the thing. It's like, I hear all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, can I believe it?
You sure enjoy talking about it.
I do. Who would ever thought Pizzagate is a real thing? I mean, let's be real about this. You can all say that you all knew for how many years. I don't know. If you'd have told me 10 years ago how corrupt our government was and how everything, I'd have been like, Get out. Now I'm like, and now I go down the Rothschild rabbit hole and the central banking and the watching Bitcoin. Like I've heard Bitcoin, people are like, oh, buy Bitcoin. I've heard other people say Bitcoin is, if you knew what Bitcoin was designed for, you would sell it immediately, period. Get out of it. I've heard Bitcoin was brought about for the sex trafficking trade because they could hide how they were funding. And
I can see that.
Yeah, I saw Bill Maher apologize to QAnon too. So like, I hope it all comes out, but I like, part of me still hopes that I want to believe that the world isn't this batshit crazy.
What's going on with Nancy Guthrie? Let's get into that. What do you guys think about that? So I've read that the brother-in-law worked as the Clinton so-and-so back in the day, and that he then worked at a law firm.
He scrubbed the internet.
And he was the one who cleaned up after them. And something about, I don't know, is this like some Hail Mary before they are set to testify about Jeffrey Epstein, blah, blah, blah. What do you guys think? I don't know. That's true, Jenny. Trump is a time traveler. There's no way that you could be this. Look, I'm a woman, so I'm a freaking kaleidoscope of emotion and nerves, and it's a debacle, and I freely own that. He's like a brick wall. There's no ups and downs. He doesn't get goaded into stuff. He's like never caught off guard.
I feel like I'm a pretty like level guy, but I even still fluctuate, things just get me on this Guthrie thing. I don't
think she's weird American says kidnapped for money but died in the scuffle. You think she's dead? Okay.
I saw something on Fox with an FBI agent, former FBI agent, that this is what they did, and she was saying, she's like, a lot of this doesn't make sense because the person who abducted her was in the house for like 28 minutes. And when you do something like that, you're in and out. This person felt comfortable in there. So like, who knows?
Was there some camera found on the roof too?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
They found a camera on the top, on the roof. Yeah. After they had swept it, they went back and found it. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here, folks, and move on. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. Weekends with Wendy. I'm like 20 minutes into this. I will include this into my daily news wrap-up. I do want to share some information here with you from 1775 Coffee. So let's take a listen to this.
Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash.
All single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler.
$170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is.
Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does.
Okay, folks, I've copied the live chats into a comment so it will be permanent with this video. And, okay, I've got 22 people watching right now. If I could get a couple of you to go ahead and chat that hasn't chatted with me before. I need 5 more people. 5 more people that's not chatted with me before. Just to put in a chat, a thumbs up, say hi, whatever. I would appreciate that. And let me remind you folks that these videos that I shared with you are videos that come directly from the producers. I've got the links to the producers here in the description box, as well as the links to their channels. I don't get any commissions or royalties for sharing this information out. And the information that I do share with you is information that I've posted on Murtec.com. The link to Murtec.com is in the description box. So if you want to slide down and visit Murtec.com and see what other information I have over there, 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. I'd like to share it all with you, but unfortunately I don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up playlist, where I have the Wendy Bell radio video that we were just watching, Andrew Klavan, so you can watch the rest of that, Dr. Steve Turley, Trending Politics, X22 Report, Mr. and Mrs. X, We the People News, all great information, and I will be back. Go ahead and take a break. I will be back about 9:30 to start our daily news wrap up. So go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, and meet me back here at 9:30. Also, you could have a nice glass of wine. Someone chatted that to me or gave me a comment that they don't necessarily like beer, but you could have a nice glass of wine and cheese as well, and meet me back here at 9:30. Now I'm going to go ahead and raid the Turning Point USA. Well, I'm not going to raid it, but if you'll come back and in the description box, I do have the link to the Turning Point USA, the All-American Halftime Show, right here. It's like 4 hours. I've got that link in here as well. So, because it's over, so there you have it. I've got the link in there. You might need to do a refresh because I just updated that. But there's the All-American event starting soon. Although it's I think it's over. It's like 4 hours and 16 minutes. There we go. So, there you have it, folks. Okay, and with that being said, let's jump back here, and let me remind you folks to be here with me at 9:30, and we'll get the daily news wrap-up started. Okay, in the meantime, though, I do want to thank you for being with me here. Hopefully, I can see you again later on. Thank you, and may God bless.